Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you in to the world of professional wrestling. And it's the three of us. I'm Keeney and I'm joined by Fisher and Krusty today.
Hello, guys.
Hey, everyone.
And so we'll be running through the past week in WWE, Smackdown, Raw, and NXT Heatwave. But first, we're going over to news correspondent Fax Fisher for some breaking news.
Yeah, so breaking news in the last couple of hours is that NXT UK is basically going to go on a hiatus as of September the 4th, which is after Worlds Collide. And then NXT Europe is going to come into play, I think, next year, is it? I'm not sure when exactly it is. A few months down the line. So that's an interesting change. I think it'll basically be a similar show, just rebranded and a few new people on it. But the sad part about it is, you know, a few people have been released from WWE today. But, you know, the good thing about that is if they're going on hiatus, they're not going to be doing anything anyway. So this gives them a chance to go and wrestle. They may well, some of them may well get the chance to come back, I reckon, later down the line. But there's no point in keeping them under contract if there's no show, is there? So, but obviously I've seen the list so far confirmed. Flash Morgan Webster, who I actually thought had already gone. Mark Andrews, who I do quite like. Wild Boar Amale, whatever her name is, I can't pronounce it. Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff so far are the ones I've read.
Well, let's hope a Recharge Wrestling favourite. God, why have I forgotten her name?
Zaya Brookside.
Zaya Brookside doesn't get released.
Wow, it's a favourite.
It's a real favourite.
God, I forgot her name. It's been a long while since we mentioned her on
air. I apologise for Keely.
Yeah, I apologise, Zaya. I'm your number one fan.
But obviously this comes ahead of Worlds Collide. We've seen quite an influx of NXT UK stars on NXT recently, which we'll talk about when we review NXT.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll go too much into that now. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on NXT Europe?
I actually could understand them getting done or a hiatus, or however they're going to word it, you know, binning off NXT UK, because I just don't think it's really worth their time. To be honest with you, I don't know how many people watch it, how many people.
It's
obviously they basically do it in the TV studios with like minimal attendance. They have done for like a year and a half. Before that, it was COVID, so it can't be bringing in much money for them. And I question why they need an NXT Europe. We'll see when it happens, but I think you need one NXT. I don't know why you need to replace NXT UK. I think if you lose it, bring some of the top stars up, which looks like they're doing, and just being done with it. I just don't think you need to have another NXT.
No, I do agree with you, although I remember Triple H's plan a few years ago now. I don't think Vince wanted it to happen, which why it hasn't, was he was going to have an NXT UK and an NXT basically all over the world. He wanted an NXT Japan and NXT Europe and NXT America. You know, he wanted basically one for everywhere. I don't know if that's him starting this plan.
To find stars, isn't it? And make it more accessible to people in those areas and find people you may not come across. I mean, if you think who's come up from NXT UK to the main roster, I know it doesn't quite make sense because she's Australian, but look at Rhea Ripley. So she came from NXT UK.
Yep. But you can still hold tryouts in these areas and still recruit talent. I don't think you need to have a show in each continent just for.
No, I understand.
Yeah, just for that.
I get what you're saying.
The problem is though with just NXT, you're not going to get enough airtime to show what these people can do. I guess I don't think sometimes from a tryout you can necessarily figure out how good a person is, and you don't get the fan interaction and things like that to see how much the crowd are into them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't watch it if it was all over the world. I wouldn't watch
no, because it's too many.
Episodes.
It's too many. You know, that's the issue.
I might give Europe a go at first, and then I'll see whether I bother carrying on.
Same here, because it's replacing NXT UK, which I don't watch every single one because I forget about it half the time. But I just keep up with it the best I can. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a good show and it'll be very similar presentation. But yeah, it's unusual. I don't know. It's one of those. I think we'll just have to wait and see. But like I say, it's just it's a shame a few people are losing their jobs in WWE, but quite a lot of them, I'm guessing, are going to come over to America, work in NXT, already are. You know, people like Nathan Fraser, A-Kid, or Axiom as he's now known. And then we saw loads of people coming over for this show. So, you know, at least those guys are going to get TV time. We've seen Pretty Deadly move over another again recently, haven't we, as well? So a lot of the top talent, I don't think is a problem. The guys we've seen get released so far, other than Mark Andrews, I would say, are people that I wouldn't have expected to make it beyond to NXT and main roster WWE. They were always going to be NXT UK only people, as far as I know. Anyway, Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster as a team, maybe the only ones that I could have seen doing anything else. So I think that might be why they've got released, possibly.
Yeah, potentially.
But, you know, at least we saw the likes of Gallus and people like that on NXT. So, you know, they're sticking around.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about more about that when we get to it. Let's move on to SmackDown, I guess.
Yeah.
Down. One thing to mention at the top of it, this was actually the highest rated SmackDown in 2 years with 2.4 million views.
Yes, I saw that.
I thought it was in your own personal rating system you had for every SmackDown
that's
for
me.
the last 2 years.
It's my highest viewed SmackDown.
To be honest, it was one of my favourite SmackDowns in a long time. I thought SmackDown was stronger than Raw this week. I thought SmackDown
I agree,
was a near perfect 2 hours. It had a bit of everything on it. And I tweeted about it saying on our Recharge account, saying I thought they used the roster brilliantly here. They used so many different people in so many different ways. Now, I put that they used the whole active roster. They didn't. There were a few people I forgot about that weren't used, but they did use a lot of people, and they used them well on this show as well. But yeah, I thought it was
one
excellent.
thing I've noticed is because I took the comment on board about long wrestling matches taking up too much time and things like that, and there was a point actually in over the 2 shows where I thought this is going on a bit too long for a weekly show. But one thing I don't know if this is correct, but just the feeling, it doesn't feel like we're getting any less matches than normal, even though we're getting like 20 minute long matches. Don't know if we are seeing less, but it doesn't feel like it.
I don't think we are, because what I think they're doing is they're putting longer matches, same amount of matches, but cutting the promos down.
Yeah.
So instead of having
like we're getting promos, but they're not like
they're not 20 minutes. I remember there was an Edge one a couple of weeks ago, and I said, it was so nice and short and sweet when he came back and he gave his explanation, and he was literally in the ring for 2 minutes. He said what he needed to say and he went. Before, you felt like that would have gone on for 10, 15 minute segment, and it didn't. And I think that's a much improved way of laying out. Obviously, if it's a big segment, you can have a promo segment that goes 10 minutes. If it's a really heated feud, 2 people that are great, like the Drew Kevin Owens promo, for example, that was fantastic. But you don't need to do that. You say, 5 of them on a show.
Roster too, which is just. I don't know how he's fitting it in. It's like you're getting more people on the TV.
There might be less recap packages and things like that as well. Don't forget that takes up so much of the show. We are still seeing them.
You say that we did see. We probably should get into the actual segments on the show, but this is first segue. We did see a big kind of video package hyping up the Intercontinental title, didn't we?
Yeah, I love the fact they're doing that.
Which we saw that with the US title, and we saw it again on the US title on Raw again. But they're making. And I mean, we have been saying on this podcast since we started and before that, my God, these mid-card titles need to be treated with some respect. It's just, and all of a sudden, Triple H is treating them with insane amount of respect, and it's needed. It is needed.
I just hope we get the Intercontinental title on a pay-per-view soon. But let's talk about the Intercontinental title then, because that main evented SmackDown.
Yeah,
and it's going to be my top mark of the week. Now, there's quite a few options to choose from, but I would let you guys have some of the others. But SmackDown for me, like I said, was a great show. And what topped it over the edge for me as a great show was it had a fantastic main event. Intercontinental title in the main event, where it should be. And it was a real banger between Gunther and Shinsuke Nakamura. As good a TV match as you're going to see in WWE, I would say. It was given a decent amount of time and just it made feel really, really important. You had some great wrestling in there. Obviously, you got the chops and stuff from Gunther. You had loads of submission counters, strikes from Shinsuke. The styles meshed pretty well together, I would say. Kaiser got involved at one point. The crowd as well were really hot for it, which obviously helps. there was one bit where Nakamura set up to go for the Kinshasa and the crowd were going mental, and then Gunther countered it into like a big lariat, and then did another big drop kick. I love his big drop kicks. And then in the end, he retained by the powerbomb, which again, I think is the right finish, a clean finish as well. Didn't need any help. Pinned Shinsuke clean, moves on to the next thing. Brilliant.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
And this whole storyline has taken up quite a few weeks. Good segments, two really good in-ring workers. Again, wrestling is not complicated. This seems so simple to be saying this. We shouldn't even have to be saying this, but if you go back to before Triple H in Vince McMahon days, this match would have been 5 to 8 minutes in the middle of the card. Probably a dodgy finish.
So I read there was a report this week as well that Gunther had that. I can't remember who he faced, but he had a match on Raw. Randomly came over to Raw for one match.
Vaguely,
couple of months back, way before Triple H took over, and apparently Vince and some people backstage didn't like the match, and they were ready to bury him, and take the title off him.
Yeah.
And so if that was going to happen, that would have pissed me right off. So Vince left at the right time there for his career. I'm guessing, if true, I've seen it reported a couple of places. But yeah, I think he's been presented brilliantly.
This match was great. I also loved the fact that to prolong the match and make it go longer, you had Shinsuke work on the arm because it almost says if he didn't have this arm injury, he would destroy him. But I think it's very clever, and it wasn't like I thought it was real.
It was selling it so well, by the way.
Yeah, until the only time I realised it wasn't real was when at the end when he did the behind his back, and he just like went like that. If you had an arm injury, you wouldn't just fly it out to the side. So,
but during the match itself, it looked like he genuinely hurt his wrist.
He really did.
It was a really, really good match.
Good match. Shinsuke's been presented well as well, which is nice to see because he's had a bit of a rough time the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
This is what you got to do. If you can do clean finishes as long as the match is good and the losing participant puts up a really decent fight like Shinsuke has. I don't think he's lost anything by losing to Walter.
No, if anything, he's gained something. I think he's gained something.
Yeah,
because now you make him want to have another title match for something else or another big match feud with somebody else.
And it's also now easier if you want to build him up into a Roman feud. You can do that now because he's put up a great fight against Gunther. I mean, it's probably going to be a losing battle, but yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And the first and definitely not the last of just incredible wrestling on WWE TV.
So my question, I had one question coming out of it. So what do you think is going to be next for Gunther? Will we see him at Clash at the Castle? Do you think we're going to set up a feud on Friday? Because I've seen a couple of, not rumours, but ideas thrown about and certain superstar teasing things as well. Which
so I don't know anything about any teasing, but my just off the cuff without looking at the roster and giving it too much thought is Madcap Moss. He seems to be the next big babyface I think could be pushed into the Intercontinental title picture. That's my.
He's a good shout. He is a very good shout. I think out of the current babyfaces you're looking at, he makes most sense because I don't think Ricochet going for it again makes any sense. Obviously, Drew's occupied. The tease I've seen, and I've seen it a couple of times now, is from Pete Dunne as his Pete Dunne gimmick. So he's posted on Twitter a picture of Walter when he had his match for the NXT UK title. He's posted pictures of him with belts and things like that. Sheamus and Co weren't on.
Absolute cracker.
Yeah, and Sheamus and Co weren't on the show last week.
Well, and also,
sorry, go on, Sean.
I was going to say, I don't think we've seen Butch on TV since Triple H took over. That's probably on purpose because
I think he was in
him to be Butch.
I think he got involved in the Drew Sheamus match. I'm pretty sure that was still in the Triple H.
Yeah.
One thing I wouldn't mind happening is a face turn for Sheamus.
That's the other one. I've seen a lot of people. I haven't seen Sheamus tease that. I've seen a lot of people say that because it's Clash.
Match.
They should have Sheamus or Pete Dunne because they're from the. Well, Sheamus is Irish, but Butch is obviously English. One of those two going for the Intercontinental title at Clash makes sense, and I've seen a lot of people saying it. I can see them doing it. I think they should maybe turn
a match in.
I think with the match with Drew as well, I think that there's an easy face turn for Sheamus. He's earned Drew's respect. They can shake hands backstage.
Yeah.
And
I think Sheamus v Gunther could be about as good as you could get for the Intercontinental
I think that might be the one they do.
Yeah.
I think that might be the one they end up doing. And I'd love to, if they do it at Clash, well, we're going to be very lucky to see that.
Well, that's better than my Madcap Moss suggestion.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think Madcap Moss is a bad suggestion, but I don't think that's a pay-per-view match necessarily. I think that might be one you do as a TV feud in between, maybe between Survivor Series, where you're not going to have the title defended on the show, because you're probably going to do Gunther v Lashley or something like that, aren't you, at Survivor Series? So you could do a feud with Madcap Moss or someone like that in between. But I think for Clash of the Castle, Pete Dunne or Sheamus would be absolutely perfect for the Intercontinental title match.
Yeah. Should we go on to something else on SmackDown? And I wanted to move on to the women's title picture, because we had a contract signing between Shayna Baszler and Liv Morgan. And straight away, Shayna Baszler's presentation is better. Just she seems more like her old self, kind of a bit more ruthless. But interesting development here really is we got Ronda Rousey, who I was not expecting at this point, coming out and interrupting a contract signing. I mean, do you think we're getting triple threat at Clash?
I think we speculated,
haven't I? Yeah.
That's
how Liv beats the both and gets some respect.
And what I loved in this was the interaction between Ronda and Shayna. They haven't done enough interaction between the two of them.
Yeah,
we know they're friends. They came back at the Rumble. When Ronda come back at the Rumble, Shayna and Ronda interacted, and since that they've not done anything on TV. But here you had Ronda say, "You used to be a killer," to Shayna. And I thought Ronda actually here, clearly unscripted, was much better. Brilliant. Much better with her promo.
One thing I wasn't sure on though was Shayna basically saying she plays by the rules and taking the mick out of Ronda, saying you must play by the rules. When a few weeks earlier, Shayna was snapping people's arms.
That was a bit odd.
I mean, that was a really weird line.
I'm hoping we are, again, I said this was a better presentation. I hope we're getting to killer Shayna Baszler again. And I hope, I'd be more than happy with a Shayna Ronda tag team.
Oh, if Liv's keeping the title, which I think she should, the tag team titles are coming back. Shayna and Ronda as a tag team, a heel tag team, would be
well, I think first,
amazing.
Let me give you my pred. Triple threat. Liv wins somehow. Hopefully not with a tap out at the same time as a pin.
Not that.
We then get a feud between Ronda and Shayna, possibly to Survivor Series. And they have such a banger that they earn each other's respect, then go tag titles, then possibly build to a Mania slot for them to have a match against the tag team champions.
Yeah, I think Ronda, just Ronda and Shayna doing stuff together, whether it's teaming up, whether it's against each other, I just think it's an absolute no-brainer. I can't believe.
I think Triple H will do that because he loves Shayna Baszler. I think Vince saw nothing in Shayna. That was the problem.
Yeah, it's just Ronda Rousey's
been in WWE
for a couple of years now, and how they've barely interacted in a couple of years is just madness to me. It'd have almost been the first thing I did, but
yeah. I mean, I do it on my universe mode every time I start a new universe mode on 2K22. I'm like, I do Ronda v Shayna feud or tag team, like one or two.
No brainer.
Yeah. Let's move on to. So we got a cool bit through the table here as well, didn't we? On this as well. So that was good. But let's move on to something else. Let's start with the show actually started. Let's carry on with the women and we'll talk about the women's tag team title tournament. Started with a match, no promo, just starting of all things as well with Raquel and Aaliyah versus Shotzi and Xia Li.
Yeah.
Like out of the book. There's no way Vince does that as an opening match in a show, which I thought was really different. They had a decent enough match, I thought. Given time, it was actually nice to see them given time.
This is longer than all of Aaliyah's matches put together, basically, this was.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And I thought it was a good showcase for Raquel, and obviously she got the win. And they move on. And
we mentioned on last week's review that I think the SmackDown side of the draw is a lot weaker.
Massively.
And this week we have Natalia and Sonya, I think, versus
Nikita Lyons as NXT.
I mean, do you have Any idea who's going to the final out of
I don't think
these three
Nikita
teams?
I don't think Nikita and Zoe win. I think Sonya and because they cheated, Natalia and Shotzi were ringside here, weren't they, for this match and got involved. So I think we're definitely getting Natalia and Sonya versus Raquel and Aaliyah. Who wins out of that? I guess we'll see who wins on Raw.
It probably depends on the Raw one, doesn't it?
Yeah. So if the heels win, I think it'll be the babyface team. If the babyface team, I think it'll be the heels. I think that's. But the SmackDown side is considerably weaker. That's not really Triple H's fault. That's the roster he was dealt with. Hopefully, they bring in some female tag teams on the SmackDown side as well as the Raw side, because it is pretty. Unless they use Raquel and Aaliyah as a tag team, but I think that's a waste. We've
also
of Raquel.
got that the chance of Naomi and Sasha coming back.
Of course, yeah, they would
really boost SmackDown, wouldn't it?
That would, yeah, that is a good point. Yeah,
100%.
That would be a big one. So I should probably move on to Drew McIntyre.
Cheeky debut.
Oh, go on then. Yeah, go on to debut before we go on to.
And if you didn't know, now you know.
The reason that this is a top mark for me, that my top mark would have been Keeney's top mark, which he'll go on to a little bit later, but I want to give something different. So we got a return of Hit Row completely out of nowhere. Again, Triple H pulling stuff out of the bag.
Did not see this coming.
I know Keeney's not quite as big a fan as me and Fisher, but me and Fisher are quite big fans of Hit Row.
I like the premise of Hit Row. The only problem I have is I don't think B-Fab's, and if B-Fab's not wrestling,
I don't think she will be.
That's the thing. I don't think she needs to.
I don't either. If she's not wrestling and they're just them two, so I thought this was a really, again, we asked a question at the end of last week's episode.
Cool presentation, wasn't it?
Last week I said who's come back this week, because last week we got a couple, Dexter and someone else, and Karrion Kross. So we got a few last week, and I was thinking, who's this week? Hit Row come out, and I was like, just don't see it coming. Like,
just refreshing.
This one I read about the day before, because I said to you guys I've heard a spoiler. Yeah, because I said to you guys, didn't I, that
we told
I've seen a surprise.
Don't tell us.
And then you were like, don't tell me. And I was like, I won't. I wasn't going to tell you anyway.
Sometimes you can know too much.
And then we watched.
But yeah, I saw.
If you don't know now, you know.
I saw loads of reports saying that Top Dollar was going to be at SmackDown. I was like, well, Hit Row are coming back then, aren't they?
He's not I didn't know if it was to miss, is he? He's absolutely massive.
Yeah. It didn't say anything about B-Fab, though, because it said Ashanti the Adonis is probably going to be there as well. But it didn't say anything about... I thought they might bring them back as a tag team.
I think if they were just a tag team, they wouldn't get off the ground too much. I think B-Fab makes it different, makes it cool.
They are very different. I mean, when they got released, we were like, well...
I was fuming.
I think we were all upset, but we were mainly upset about Swerve. We were like, Swerve has a lot of talent. Yeah. The other guys are quite green, but they're bringing them all back without Swerve, but in the same gimmick, just without Swerve, which is interesting because he was the leader. He was not, they all spoke, but
nice to have more tag teams.
I think
you need.
I was going to mention it. Triple H is quietly building the tag teams division. We'll talk about that when we get to Raw as well. But
and you need face tag teams. There's not many, 100%. Is there? Especially on SmackDown, we've been complaining who's next for the Usos because there's no face tag teams.
Street Profits versus Usos for the last year and a half.
I don't know if they're going to be face or heels, but I would say they're face
to me.
And the crowd, what I did love as well, because this is one of those returns where the crowd could have forgotten who they were, but they got a big reaction. I was quite surprised.
It is surprising for a group that were 6 months old in NXT. They weren't in NXT for long,
and they were only on the main roster for like a month. Literally a month.
Like 2 or 3 appearances, and the main reason they got big, well, not the main reason, but it is not there anymore, Swerve. So this was a big call from Triple H, I think, to bring them back and put them on SmackDown.
Yeah, I think this is a brave call, but I like it. And
Swerve,
too.
They look good in the ring as well.
A lot of people are suggesting people online that they can replace Swerve with, and then Top Dollar come out and said, look, we don't need a replacement for Swerve. We've got 3 people. We're all equal. This is our group. We don't need just randomly someone shoved into it. And I completely agree with them. Don't ruin the...
Well, I don't think that's Triple H's thing anyway. He doesn't do that, does he?
Will they be as good in the ring without Swerve? Probably not, because he is the best, I think, wrestler, like we've said.
Yeah, but Top Dollar is something quite special, I think, in ring. Like, they can... just in terms of, he's so different. Huge. Yeah, he's really impressive, Top Dollar. Yeah, he is the one who stands out in that group. I know
think
they're all evil.
Adonis is pretty good as well, to be fair.
and they complement each other quite well, don't they? Ashanti and
and then
Donna,
having
so,
B-Fab at the side on the microphone to talk for them.
Yeah, I want to see them cutting promos like they did in NXT.
I want promos, I want raps. Like that time they come to NXT and like a 4-minute rap.
Well, they did it last time we saw them. They had a rap against Jinder and Shanky, didn't they? And Jinder and Shanky replied, and that was the end of Hit Row. Last time we saw them.
They can carry that feud on now if they want.
Yeah, Jinder and Shanky are still knocking about. Haven't done anything. Have not progressed since they left.
Well, it'd be an okay first use for them to do, just as a squash. You know, they can beat them easily. And they had a squash match here, didn't they? Against two random jobbers. Beat them very
Brendan
very
Scott and Trevor Irvin.
Good. You got their names. I'm glad you did.
In case they're listening.
But yeah, lovely. Great to see them back. Honestly, really, really happy to see them back.
Yeah, me too. So let's move on to Drew McIntyre. Had a fairly eventful show. He's obviously... One of the questions I had coming out of last week's SmackDown is, what does Karrion Kross coming back mean for Clash? And I don't think it means anything for Clash unless he gets involved in the match, but I don't think he's going to be added to it or anything like that. But we got Drew in the ring, kind of promo, and then Scarlett coming down to distract him. And then the Usos attacked him from behind, which isn't a surprise, I guess. The Usos doing what they do. Which then led hit a 1D, and a quite interesting interaction between Scarlett and the Usos, where they were both like, you know, not quite sure of each other. It was a bit like just interesting. I think honestly, we said it before, but Scarlett just brings so much to the Karrion Kross act. It's unreal how much she brings. And then we end up with a tag team match. I think Drew was going to fight them 2-on-1, wasn't he? The Usos. In the end, he had Madcap Moss.
That was cool. He came out halfway through. Obviously, he's feuded Madcap Moss a lot earlier on this year, wasn't it? Like day one, Royal Rumble, that kind of time, before the Corbin match.
Yes.
It's kind of come full scale now, where Madcap Moss obviously turned babyface and helped Drew. So I like that. And Madcap, this is what I was talking about, getting people on the show and putting them in good spots. This is perfect. Madcap Moss coming in, helping Drew. Yeah, really liked it. And the match was pretty good as well. We also got before Scarlett come out, you got Karrion Kross and Scarlett actually talk as well. Well, I think it was mainly Kross. But he cut a good promo as well, talking about Roman and Drew being the chosen ones and how he was cast aside. That was good stuff. I like their style of promo that they do. All good stuff. This.
Yeah.
Good.
I enjoyed it. And then the only thing. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say about the finish to that match.
Done. Yeah, I was
because Sami Zayn gets involved, doesn't he? And then Drew, or was that after the match? I think
it was during. Yeah.
So Sami Zayn gets involved, and then after the match, Sami pushes Jimmy out of the way and takes a Claymore for them. And again, Sami Zayn and the Usos clashing a little bit here, but Sami trying to make up for it by doing that afterwards. But we're definitely getting a storyline where this is going to come to a head soon, and I think we're going to get a Sami face turn.
Yeah.
And I do have a prediction for this, but I don't know if we've spoken about it before. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we'll talk about it when we get to Raw.
Okay. The only other thing I had from SmackDown was the Kofi attacking the Viking Raiders with a kendo stick and then them beating them up.
Was this about as interesting to talk about as it was last week when I spoke about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing's progressing here. I think they're just biding time until Xavier Woods is cleared or whatever. There's no real.
There was one other segment that I interested me a little bit, and that was the Maximum Male Models segment, because it looks like we've actually set up a first feud for them.
Yes, good. Yeah.
Because we've been saying, where will it translate to? Who are they going to feud with?
Los Lotharios.
But Los Lotharios came in, and that actually makes complete sense.
It does.
I didn't think about it, but they make complete sense as kind of wannabe model type guys. But what was interesting as well is we got the first bit of like tension. We're talking about maybe LA Knight coming back and Max Dupree not being the leader of that group, and they were like, talking, and then they were like, oh yeah, we weren't talking to you, we were talking to her.
Yeah,
Sophia. So I feel like Sophia is going to take control of that group. And he's going to be pushed out. Yeah, and I feel like Max Dupree is going to eventually be pushed out, and then maybe he comes back as LA Knight, which I think we'd all like to see.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
But I think we saw the first sort of bit of that possibly here.
I just want to see Marseille and Mansoir in the ring.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they do with how they act and what they do with it.
They're not an obvious pairing, are they? So I'm interested to see how they do in ring. Could be interesting.
No, they're not an obvious pairing at all. Although they are very, very good friends outside of WWE, which I didn't know.
Oh, are they?
Because I've seen them on. They go on up, down, down a lot. I've seen them on there, hanging out with Xavier Woods, and they're always together by the scenes of it. So I think that's why they've paired them, because I think they get on really well outside of the ring. So yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go on to Raw then. And I want to just kick off with a top mark. I want to just say this is the best thing I saw this week by a distance. And I thought SmackDown was really good. I think it's a lot of good things. I think NXT was good. I think Raw in general was good. But I thought Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens.
This was the best thing. I just
cut a ridiculously passionate promo.
Incredible.
Just insane. I mean, and also, I feel like we keep repeating ourselves, but Triple H is changing things. And Drew McIntyre said a line. He said, "We are two wrestlers in a wrestling ring. Let's settle this." And just the word wrestlers and wrestling ring, that just doesn't happen. That is like
Vince's banned words.
When was the last time that was said on WWE TV? Probably 20, 30 years ago. I don't know.
They've had the odd promo where
a long time ago, but this is almost
I think Cody said it, but Cody's Cody.
This is almost like a statement promo from Triple H to say, by the way, you go out there and you say, what you need. And yeah, just incredible. Such passion. I mean, Kevin Owens is so good. Drew as well. So amazing. And the match these two put on. Okay, we'll get to the end of the match, which does hinder a bit.
Slightly, but not too much for me, because this is one of those scenarios where you can understand a DQ. The only problem I have with it is they went like 15 minutes, then did one. We got an amazing match out of it.
The match was incredible. In my opinion, the best wrestling match of the week. I thought Drew and Kevin here just so good. And then the Usos jumped Drew at the end, leading to a
such
DQ.
Workhorses, aren't they? They are everywhere.
The Usos are everywhere, and
I think they must have the most segments in wrestling out of anyone.
So I was going to get to that in a minute, but going back to the actual promo itself, some of the highlights from these two, because that was what I enjoyed. I loved the match, don't get me wrong, but Drew basically saying that because he is actually carrying a back injury. That is legit. He's got a back injury. He's not going to miss Clash. He's not going to miss anything, but he has got a back injury. He's talking about carrying the company on his back.
Puts doubt? Sorry to interrupt.
Potentially.
Do you think that puts doubt in him winning?
Potentially, but as the champion's not active anyway, maybe it won't make any difference.
Yeah, but his whole attack on Roman
it depends if he needs time off. I don't know if he does or not. From what I've heard, he doesn't need surgery or anything. So if he needs time off, it'd be maybe a couple of weeks or something like that. You can do that. You can't do what Roman's doing. That's the problem. And I think if they split the belts, which I think they're eventually going to do anyway, then
it's not so bad, then, I guess, is it? You can give him a few weeks off until like Survivor Series or something like that.
But what I loved is because at first I was like, okay, why is he on Raw? Because he's not a Raw superstar. But then he gave a really good explanation of why he was on Raw, which is, I'm going to be your future champion. I'm scouting out potential opponents.
I love how he just keeps firing off at Roman as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a job. It's
Jabs
my
at
dream.
Roman.
That was a proper shot at Roman. That was a shot. I was like, fair play, though. I mean, it's true. This promo felt so real. And we always say it. The ones that feel real are the best. They were
absolutely.
Both spitting exactly what they felt, didn't they?
Well,
and
then also, I think I may have even posed a question, or one of us posed a question a few weeks back when it was announced Drew was going to go to Clash. And I thought, well, they've got a bit of building up to do for Drew because he's not been a top of the card guy for a little while now. Do you think we're 3 weeks away, or just under 3 weeks away? Do you think they have got Drew to a position?
Yeah,
because I think he feels like the biggest babyface in WWE right now.
He feels like he did before Lesnar.
I didn't think it would take long because I think he didn't feel that low. He felt like a little bit down from what he was, but he's so good that you can put him in a position he can quickly work his way back up. But yeah, I loved him as well, listing potential opponents. He listed Ciampa, which I thought was interesting. AJ Styles. I can't remember who else was on the list now, but Rollins, obviously.
I think it's also good. He feels more serious now, more savage, more aggressive. He's losing the sort of silliness of the gimmick, I suppose.
Yeah.
I noticed he hasn't been walking around with a sword either.
Yeah, they've got rid
I don't
of the
think that's
sword.
going,
They've got rid of the sword.
That was a must.
They have it on the Clash poster, don't they? But in terms of him walking around with
He
it,
might come out at Clash just because it's a...
I said it before, I think
okay
having it
if
on the
he-
entrance is cool.
Yeah.
I just don't think he should...
Not snapping ropes and going to cut people's heads off.
No.
I mean,
That stuff's lame. That stuff's
you're
not
going to cut
necessary.
someone's head off, there's going to be trouble. Not
But yeah,
ideal.
so
But yeah,
KO's part in
completely
this
think
as
he's
well.
ready.
So KO then comes out because he was annoyed because Drew hadn't said him. And Drew was basically, and you as well.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
then KO was firing back, like, I haven't won a title in 5 years. I'm going after every title, listed all the titles in WWE. Interestingly, what took my interest was the tag team titles, and we'll get to why in a minute. But the promo was amazing. Then, like you say, the language used, wrestler, this is a wrestling ring, let's wrestle. Before they had a match, I wasn't expecting a match to happen there and then, but then they had an absolute banger of a match. KO was flying around everywhere. He's hitting swanton bombs.
Yeah, Drew
cannonballs.
kicked out of a swanton and a frog splash in a row.
Yeah. KO was giving it. It was like he was sending a message out.
He said he wants to bring back prize fighter KO, doesn't he?
This felt like the best version of KO. This did.
Oh, absolutely, and it did.
I think it felt like
last
the best
week
version of
against
both of them.
when he took out Ezekiel as well. Noticeably as well, Drew did an avalanche white noise, which I thought was cool. Again, Sheamus is.
I think this is leading to Sheamus
as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But what I was talking about the tag division, and I was talking about Sami Zayn's face turn. Now, KO doesn't feel like a face at all at the moment, and obviously prize fighter gimmick isn't that. But he had an interaction with the Usos here, obviously with the DQ. He already said he referenced going for the tag titles, and then he also said to them, "Tell Roman, I'm coming for him," or something like that as well to the Usos after, which makes me think that we may well get some Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens reunion against Usos still at some point. Whether it's
Quite
now,
possibly.
whether that's like down the line, WrestleMania time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that does make sense, but I don't think that's a next 2-3 months. I think that's a longer term thing.
They're not even on the same brand at the moment anyway. So I think they'll have to wait.
I think we may get, I mean, it's tough with Usos as the tag champs, but I think you could almost do a Sami Zayn v Jey Uso feud. Because that's what it feels like we're heading towards, or Jimmy, so whichever one, there's one of them that's a bit more mean to him than the other one. I feel like
It's Jey.
Yes. I think we could be heading to Sami.
He's speaking
Jey.
to Sami how Roman used to speak to him. That's what's great about it.
Yeah. But I guess I don't know how they do that if they're the tag champs. If they have them lose it, then I think they'll. I reckon you could do a fairly decent mid card feud of Sami v Jey Uso,
especially if Roman
to keep
isn't
you
around after
Yeah.
Clash, because we don't know what his plans are. I've not heard what the plans are for Survivor Series regarding that, because they're not doing champion versus champion because he's got both belts at the moment. So if he keeps them, then he's obviously not facing the other champion, is he? And if he loses them, then there's no room for him on the card in that sense. Although they could just have him captain Team Smackdown with the Usos on the team. It wouldn't surprise me if they did that, because the Usos also don't have a tag team to face on the opposite brand. It depends where they go, the direction they go for some Survivor Series, because they might not do brand versus brand, but they may well do. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting time, definitely. We started the show with the Judgment Day destroying Rey Mysterio. Rhea. I mean, the Judgment Day, just, what, I know, Krusty, you were quite critical of how they were being presented. Do you think do you think they've been presented better recently?
I think so. I honestly think Rhea Ripley has elevated them.
I was going to say that.
I think Rhea. That's really helped.
Rhea's really helping them because she's interacting with the men and beating them up. That makes them look badass for a start. But they've been booked strong. I mean, Balor's been booked better as well. There's no doubt about that.
She almost feels like the leader. It's weird.
Yeah, she does. She does feel like the leader to me.
I think it's actually really interesting, and I would do it, and it feels like they are doing it. I would make Rhea the leader. I would make her not just like a standard leader. Make her really powerful, dominant leader. Make her like she is. Every week she's beating up Dominic Mysterio, and
they teased the match with Ray here a bit as well. Like she had a face off with Ray for quite a long time.
The only thing that doesn't quite make sense with Rhea at the moment is she was number 1 contender to face Bianca Belair.
That's
and
drop,
she got injured, and not like she's obviously more interested in beating up Dominic than going for the women's title, which feels a weird one. I think
they're holding off on that match.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird.
I think
weird it's not been
you can do that at WrestleMania.
I think Triple H has just sort of brushed that one under the carpet.
Yeah. No. It's probably the best thing not to have her involved unless you're going to have her win the title.
Yeah, definitely. She definitely can't be involved at the moment. There's too much going on.
There is a lot. There is a lot going on in the women's division, and we also saw another tag title quarterfinal here, which I mentioned briefly earlier. Alexa and Asuka beating Nikki and Doudrop to advance. I thought it was a really good match. Again, when I say really good, I mean it's just better than what I expect from a women's tag team match on a Raw. I expect it to be a 5-minute match. Nothing really happens. Move on to the next thing. But this got quite a fair bit of time. And Alexa and Asuka kind of work as a team, and I don't quite know why. I quite like them.
I do like them. I think it's a really good pairing, actually.
Yeah, to me, it felt like they put them together because they were two people that didn't know what to do with.
I think that's the case, but sometimes that works, doesn't it? And in this instance, I think it really has. They're a very popular team as well. Both of them can wrestle. I have no issue with this at all.
And do you have any predictions on Alexa and Asuka v Dakota and Io?
It's weird that they're doing this now. I don't really understand.
Yeah, next week, isn't it? Next week on Raw.
I can only think that you're going to get Alexa and Asuka win because I think Dakota Bailey and Io Sky are going to win at Clash. I think that's I think whichever one wins here will not win at Clash. I think
there's a possibility that Asuka and Alexa win the tournament, and then Bailey, Dakota, and Thingy beat them up really badly to the point where they're like, "We want to have a match with you. Put all the titles on the line in the match, and it's winner takes all."
If they do that, if they do that at Clash, it's probably too soon to do that at Clash because we're only a couple of weeks away. But there is 2 Raws still.
It feels weird that Belair's not really defending the title.
Yeah, but I guess you don't need her to. She's still in quite a decent top of the card feud.
It's still the top of the card, but it's just
if she was doing nothing. Yeah,
but you could do that and make all the titles on the line in the one match. I don't know whether they're going to or not, but it's a possibility, definitely.
Yeah. Just also whilst we're on it, Dakota Kai had her first match on Raw, singles match anyway, beating Dana Brooke. And again, a match that just went a bit longer than I expected it to.
I like that they're giving them singles matches, not just keeping them in the tag tournament as well. Dakota needed that kind of solo match introduction.
Yeah.
Because if they do lose in the tag tournament, it doesn't feel like the end of the world. Yeah. Because they've still won other matches, and obviously they've got the big match at the pay-per-view anyway. So it's not. I think it's it's a smart decision to have that, and it gets Dana Brooke doing something. They barely mention the actual 24/7 title aspect of it, which I find interesting.
Oh, I was going to ask the question: how long do you reckon a 24/7 belt is going to be around for? Because not long. They have done nothing.
What they should do is maybe they won't do that. But I was going to say you could replace it with a different belt, like a mid-card women's belt. But with the women's tag belts coming back, I'm not sure that they need that. But yeah, I think they might just drop the 24/7 title because they haven't really done it. Triple H's shows haven't really done anything with it, have they yet?
There's been nothing. And we've even had Dana Brooks wrestled 2 weeks in a row now, and there's been there's been no people running around at ringside or whatever. None of that's happened. So
no, which is good because
whereas before we were seeing Dana Brooke v Becky Lynch and people running around during the middle of the Becky Lynch match. So that they were doing it every time Dana Brooke was on TV before. Now it's just not happening, which is good. Definitely is good. we wax lyrical about the Intercontinental title on SmackDown. We essentially got nearly as good a match here on Raw for the United States title. Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles. I mean, how good was this one?
Awesome.
Yeah, it
Sort
took
of
a while
out of
to
nowhere
get
as well.
going, but yeah, it was just randomly announced. First match ever between the two of them, which I couldn't believe.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
Considering as well, they were in Impact at the same time. They were in WWE. They've been in WWE at the same time for a few years now, and they've never faced each other. It's very strange.
And it's Lashley, 2 big defenses in 2 weeks. Ciampa and now AJ Styles. Like,
yeah,
these are big wins for Bobby Lashley.
I just think keep him and Gunther going until Survivor Series. Keep having defend titles, beating people, and then have them clash in like
clash that is going to be
a battle of the Titans at Survivor Series. I think it's perfect. And then I would put Gunther over in that match if it was me, but I wouldn't complain either way that much. But yeah, that's what I hope they do. I don't know who is next for Bobby Lashley. They sort of on a digital exclusive thing interviewed him saying, what's next for you, and no one interrupted it. I was expecting maybe them to be a little teaser, but there wasn't. So I don't know who's next to go for him, but yeah, hopefully he just keeps defending the title and put banger matches on TV. It's not a bad way to do it, is it? Didn't we get more Dexter Lumis here as well?
We did.
Yeah, he this time
got absolutely bundled, didn't he, by security?
Yeah, but on the commentary, wasn't it? By commentary.
That's while Miz was out. Is that right? So the Miz came to the to ringside.
Yes, the Miz was there.
The Miz
was
was
so that's why I'm thinking maybe Dexter. Maybe it seemed like there was some relation there as to why that happened.
Maybe, but twice it's been now when AJ Styles, and I actually heard this on another podcast this week that said one possibility is Dexter Lumis. Like, could he be like something with AJ Styles, either obsessed with AJ Styles or wants to destroy AJ Styles or trying to protect him or something? That's where the link is. There's both been AJ Styles matches so far.
Okay.
Well, actually, the first one was the end of an AJ Styles match when he won last week.
Interestingly, though, I think
but also both with the Miz as well. So
yeah, there was another bit in this show. I don't know. I mean, I remember sending you a little picture of it, Keeney. I don't know if you have seen it, Krusty, but there was a bit. So there's a bit backstage where Theory and Ziggler are brawling earlier on in the show, and there's a hand coming out from behind a door that kind of looks like Dexter Lumis's hand, but also looks like the Fiend. And
hands got a glove on, just to clarify. Fisher's not just identifying hands.
I was going to say.
Either Dexter Lumis,
looks like Dexter Lumis's hand.
So obviously, Dexter Lumis has history with Theory as well. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting because it was very subtle, and I didn't actually see it at the time, but it was something I spotted afterwards, which was really random.
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually predicted last week we hadn't seen Theory for a little bit. Maybe they were waiting to do a big weight reunion, but we did see Theory here. We saw him backstage with Dolph, and I feel like
we'll get to NXT though, but I still feel like there's something with the way going on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think so we actually the main event of the show was Theory v Dolph after they brawled backstage, and I think this is Triple H handling something which I don't think he wanted. I don't think he wanted to do Theory v Dolph, but I feel like he had to follow up on it based on what happened just before he took over. So yeah, I think he just thought, let's just get over and done on a Raw main event. Theory beat Dolph, and just move on. Because I think
why it was a main event.
I think the US title match should have been main event. I agree with you. I thought something huge was happening at the end for it to be main event.
Yeah, I thought something was going to go on. There was also quite a lot of time left, weirdly, when I was watching it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what's going on?
It was a good match. Theory v Ziggler was a good match.
It was a good match. Yeah, I can't complain there at all.
I saw people tweeting, I think it was Kevin Nash actually said, there's, Raw had 3 pay-per-view in-ring quality matches on this show.
I would agree with that, actually. I think if they saw on pay-per-views, you would not complain, would you?
Like Theory, Ziggler, obviously
Lashley. And the only thing that I didn't mention it at the match, I did think that Lashley Styles went a little bit too long.
Yeah, maybe.
For a Monday Night Raw.
They've got 3 hours to fill. I mean, if they want a match to go on for 20, 25 minutes, as long as
It
it's
just
not
felt
all
a
the
bit
time.
slow. That's the problem. There were bits and it felt a
It
bit
did take a
slow.
while to get going that match.
There was a bit of filler
I
and
did.
stuff like that, which
Yeah.
I think they have to be careful because he is extending all the matches so much. Doing that could then put people off.
Yeah, he has to strike a balance. At the moment, it's quite
Yeah.
fresh and it's quite a
And
novelty.
I love a long match. You know that. Apart from not Hangman, Brian Long.
No. 60 minutes draw.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
that was too long. But yeah, this was just I think a little bit too long. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Ziggler match. It was brilliant, like the fact that we're actually getting Ziggler hit finishers now.
Yeah, so there was I think it was Jimmy Smith said like, oh, Ziggler's won so many matches with the zigzag, and I was like, has he? The zigzag never finishes any match. He probably has. Just
I used to, like in
just
2011.
statistically, but I was like,
not since about then.
you cannot
love him using the
seriously tell
famouser.
me, yeah, you cannot seriously tell me
He
the
wins with a
zigzag
super
is going to
kick.
win the match.
If he wins, he normally wins with a super kick.
Yeah.
Normally.
That was the only thing I had from that match. Speaking of people we haven't seen in a while, Veer Mahan, he was here.
He came, didn't he?
Yeah, that was
Came all over the show.
Beat Bo Keller or Bu Keller.
I think they're just doing.
Keller,
They did it with Omos last week, didn't they? Where they just have them in random squash match. They did it with Veer this week. Just keeping them in your mind.
Yeah,
not
interesting.
doing anything. But
I mean, are you guys happy with squash matches? Because we saw Hit Row have one, we saw Veer have one here. Just Omos last week. They're happening.
I think you
once
need
a show.
to sort of have a little cheeky one.
Yeah,
I think they're
Veer
great
was-
in between the long match. Like we said, we've got a 25-minute match between Styles and Lashley. You get a 2-minute match here. That's fine.
It's interesting because Veer is another one that I think we may have forgotten about because we hadn't seen him really since Triple H had taken over. I don't think we've seen him at all. So
no, we haven't.
I was quite interested when he came out. I was like, oh,
I don't think
Veer's
he's even been on main event or anything.
Yeah.
So
he's one I thought Triple H might not have been that keen on, but got to see him here.
we got we have to talk about the Ezekiel.
I love that
update.
segment.
This was
I thought that
hilarious.
was hilarious. Yeah.
So there's a hospital update from Ezekiel, and it shows his family, and it's Elias dressed up in loads of different. There's a kid there as well. I don't know why they did that. There's a woman,
the dad was
his
great.
mum, and then they had the dad speaking, which was Ernie Jr.
I loved this bit.
It is funny.
Brilliant.
It is funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That's all I've got to say about it, really.
Yeah. Again, what do they do with Ezekiel? I don't know because
I think they bring back Elias, honestly. I think that's where it will lead to. Ezekiel can't come back, so Elias comes back. Because I think Triple H will prefer the Elias gimmick. Personally.
yeah, I mean, I think most people would.
Obviously, he had Elias in NXT.
He did nothing
in that
in
gimmick.
NXT.
He didn't do a lot.
Absolutely
did not
nothing.
use him at all.
He was called the Wanderer.
Yeah.
His name was Elias Sampson then, wasn't it, as well?
Mm.
Elias Sampson, man.
But yeah, this was hilarious. We had a couple of other.
Yeah,
things
there's
to
one
talk
other
about.
match. Miz and Ciampa beat Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. A one-off tag team or a new tag team.
Well, this is what I was talking about.
kind of work together, don't they, Ali and Cedric?
They've been tagging on main event, so this wasn't a one-off, I don't think.
And do you remember back in 205 Live days when they were having absolute bangers, Ali and Alexander?
Yeah.
And what I was saying about Triple H bringing the tag division forward, we've got Hit Row obviously on SmackDown. We've got this team here on Raw. Kind of used, they mentioned Miz and Ciampa being a tag team as well. You could use them in the tag division. I think they're slowly building a nice tag team division again now.
Yeah.
Which is desperately needed. And I think we might talk about it when we get to NXT. We might even get one more yet.
Yeah. I know who you're on about, yeah. I think
Which would be really good, I think. So I feel like he's slowly building up a roster of tag teams again. And you never know if Johnny Gargano does come back, you can always have DIY as a team as well.
Or Gargano, Loomis, or there's a few options.
Yeah.
Like with Cedric and Ali, if you're not gonna, they've got nothing for them individually. That's quite clear. Just have them why not have them as a team? And
I think they're a great tag team to have
involved
together.
in matches,
like high flying, just exciting babyface tag team. Why not?
And they've got history you can play off to team together. They had like that real mutual respect for each other when they were going for the belt and the cruiserweight.
I like it.
The other thing on the show, which I haven't mentioned, I'm surprised I mentioned this last, is Riddle and Seth Rollins is now announced for Clash at the Castle.
Yeah. So Seth's waiting in the ring, isn't he, for Riddle and he thinks he's not there, but he is. And then they come out and have a bit of a brawl, and the match is announced for Clash, which we obviously are very excited for.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be an absolute banger alive. Especially as they didn't do it at SummerSlam, and they waited for it to come here. I think they're going to put on the show.
That's a surprise for them to bump it off SummerSlam just for Clash. But
it's weird because apparently the reason was they wanted 8 matches on the card at SummerSlam, but I do not get why they bumped that one of all the matches. But you know, it's their loss is our gain, I suppose, because it means we get it.
It's going to be insane, isn't it? Going to be so good. Anything else from Raw?
Did we mention? Apologies if I've completely missed it. Dakota Kai versus Dana Brooke.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. God knows.
Sorry, we can mention it again if you want.
That I had to quickly disappear off the camera and did a Casper. Maybe.
Oh yeah, that might have been.
We talked about how great it was.
But I enjoyed the fact that we actually got a proper match with no silly 24/7.
Well, that's what we were saying about it.
Yeah.
Oh well, I completely missed it.
Go back and listen to the podcast, and you'll hear all our views on that match.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
That's right. It was good. Let's move on to NXT Heatwave.
Very appropriate name.
Yes, very. Yeah,
say for not so much.
Should be an NXT drought soon.
We got a plethora of.
I like the way this started, by
big
the way,
matches
with Paul Heyman doing the announcing of the card.
Yeah, that was
something different, wasn't it?
It was different. It was different. Yeah, it was strange one. Cool. I'm going to start with the skid mark because I don't want to end on a skid mark.
Yeah, let's get it. Go. Let's get it done with.
The main event.
This is mine as well.
Which was a really good main event, by the way. JD Madonna, Braun Breaker.
I said JD Madonna then, not McDonough. As in Madonna.
JD McDonough. Not
blasting Vogue out.
Like a prayer.
He needs a prayer after that.
McDonough, he does. He put up a great fight, though. Really good match, Braun Breaker.
I did like the way it ended with him just being like, "Give me another spear," and just like getting absolutely cut in half.
He's a bit sadistic.
He was bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah, really cool visual. And again, I think it's interesting they put him straight in the title picture and had him lose. It's an interesting way to introduce him, but I think he looks really good. I think I said before, he's one I would have actually bypassed NXT altogether. I'd put him straight up to main roster. Devlin, McDonough, whatever you call him. But
he is brilliant.
Yeah, he is. But the reason for my skid mark, and it's not even what happened, because the idea of so basically we had Tyler Bate come out after the match to confront Braun Breaker, and throughout the show we'll talk about it a bit more, but we got NXT UK people coming up. It's to deal with the news at the start of the show about NXT UK hiatus, ending, whatever's happening with NXT UK. Tyler Bate comes out, but he comes out with the NXT UK Championship. And for someone who does watch NXT UK on a weekly basis, I'm up to date. And just last week, they started an NXT UK tournament for a vacant belt as Dragunov was injured. And we're still in the quarterfinal rounds. I think they did one match. I think Trent Seven beat Wolfgang, who we saw on the show. But the brackets were set up for a Tyler Bate Trent Seven final, which is a long-term blood feud, but they basically spoiled all of that by having Tyler Bate with the belt here. So we know Tyler Bate wins. We know NXT UK is pre-recorded, but they have just, and again, I made the point at the start of the show, how many people watch NXT UK is probably minimal. So this is why they did it, because they thought, well, it's very little damage by doing this. But just from a personal point of view, it's kind of ruined NXT UK for me.
You can't do that. They should have showed them all. They should have just said, right, as a final hurrah, we're going to release them all so you can watch all the tournament.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't watched them by NXT, tough, innit?
Yeah, exactly. If they're all out there, and I just wasn't up to date. That's my problem. But I'm up to date, and they haven't shown Tyler Bate have his first match yet. But I know he wins.
I'm with you. It's my skid mark as well. Honestly, I couldn't believe it when he came out of the belt. I was just like, what's he doing?
Yeah,
obviously it makes sense now with this announcement, but
it does. But when I saw the bracket on NXT UK, I was like, oh, can't wait for Tyler Bate again. I think it's not a shock that Tyler Bate won the NXT
Not with the people that are in it, no.
But Tyler Bate, Trent Seven finals, this feud has been building and building because they were tag team for so long, like big strong boys, and then broke up, and it was just building and building to really, really good, like probably as good a feud as you're going to get on NXT UK, and it's just spoiled now. To the point now, NXT's records is on whilst we're recording the show, so I usually watch it Friday morning. I'm basically done with it. I'm just, what's the point of me watching it now? I know what happens. No. It's ending. So this.
Yeah, and I've just seen some more releases as well.
Go on. Who's gone?
So Amelia McKenzie, Shah Samuels, I saw tweeting about thanks for the memories. I also saw William Regal tweeting about it, saying what a pleasure it was to work on it. And goodbye, basically. So I think basically, unless they're getting transformed over to the American NXT, they're all getting released.
That makes sense, really.
They might all, like I say, when they do NXT Europe, some of them might get re-signed if they don't go anywhere else. But it looks like a lot of these people are not, are not going to be. They can't exactly bring the whole roster over, can they? There's enough people on NXT as it is, I think.
By the way, I wonder how many people listening know who Amelia McKenzie and Shah Samuels are. That's very niche breaking news.
I wonder if Noam Dar got released because he's been on the main roster before. You wouldn't have thought he'd be someone that would get released, but you never know. I don't know.
Yeah, interested to see.
But yeah, I agree with you on the skid market. It's ridiculous, and I loved the match, but it kind of ruined the after bit. But I'm excited for Braun v Tyler Bate. That's gonna be a banger, I'm sure.
Tyler Bate only has great. I've been, how big I'm on Tyler Bate.
We've been talking about him coming up for years. So
yeah, he is someone. And now it's not Mustache Mountain anymore because they've broken up and they've feuded. So Tyler Bate on his own as a singles guy.
I can't imagine they've ever brought Trent Seven up.
Maybe I think Mustache Mountain. I mean, they did win the NXT tag belts previously. They've done a bit on NXT before, a long time ago. I thought as Mustache Mountain they could do, but Trent Seven, he didn't have long, did he? He was never going to be a long-term call up if he was called up. Interesting to see what happens to him if he gets released or not. Because
I'm just trying to see any more information on releases.
From what I know, I think he's also like a trader in NXT UK. I think he does quite a bit.
I can't see them releasing Trent Seven, but you never know.
Well, again, just what would they have for him? Anyway, this is a real side project from NXT Heatwave, talking about Trent Seven's future. What other matches stood out for you on the show? Because there was a lot of good ones.
Giovanni Vinci versus Carmelo Hayes.
Vinci versus Carmelo Hayes was a banger.
Was really good. Giovanni Vinci, we've said it before, even when he was Fabian Eichner, he is honestly incredible. And I feel like he's the new Cesaro in WWE, where he's like pound for pound the strongest guy. He's got so many similarities, I think.
He's so athletic as well.
Obviously, he's a bald European man as well. There's that similarity, but like obvious comparison. I think he's an obvious person. Yeah, I think he's an obvious person. He's very similar in like how he kind of looks, where he's from in the world and the way he wrestles. But he's honestly so good. And obviously, I thought he might win here, but he didn't, and was countered in the end by Hayes. Trick Williams getting involved a lot on the outside, wasn't he? But yeah, he's brilliant, Giovanni Vinci. I was kind of annoyed when they didn't call him up with Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, but I actually think he's had a lot more chance to shine, because I think if he was just stood next to Gunther, he wouldn't have done anything on the main roster, unless you used Kaiser and Eichner as a separate tag team, maybe. But I had a feeling they wouldn't have done that. So actually, it's probably benefited him in the long run.
Yeah, I think it has actually. But yeah, this was a really good match, and Carmelo Hayes' run continues.
Thought was decent was Mandy Rose versus Zoe Stark. I thought Mandy Rose put out a real good performance here. Sometimes her matches aren't fantastic, but her mic work makes up for it. Yeah, with the rest of Toxic Attraction. But I thought this was an absolute quality match, and I liked the finish. Very inventive to have her take that knee brace off and put it on herself, and then smash Zoe Stark in the face. It was kind of, I know it wasn't a clean mean, but it kind of was.
It wasn't illegal.
Yeah,
it's a bit of clothing. It's like putting someone's glove on. If you got a glove, you can put it on. I mean,
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and speaking of title reigns that continue, Mandy Roses. I mean, I think we are close to a year now she's been champion.
I've said she's going to have lost it.
I can't believe she's still NXT champion, to be honest. But I do think soon it's time to call them and her and Toxic back, especially with tag team titles again being prominent on the main roster. I think
to SmackDown.
Having them on SmackDown.
The obvious person to beat her is Alba Fire.
It is, although I think at Worlds Collide we're going to get Blair Davenport. Potentially.
Yes, we saw Blair Davenport, didn't we?
Because she said, "I'm your next NXT." Because we'll get to what she did in a minute, but she appeared on the show and she's mentioned being the next NXT Women's Champion. Obviously, it's Worlds Collide is going to be a UK versus NXT show.
I was wondering when we was going to get Worlds Collide again. It's been years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a cool show for us, especially because
really
we like it. We watch NXT UK, and it's the top talent of NXT UK, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get Blair Davenport v Mandy Rose there. Maybe she wins the women's title, probably not, but
I don't think so.
But yeah,
it depends how they build her up. Interesting because Blair Davenport, she was on a backstage segment where Indy Hartwell got a love letter from Dexter Lumis.
By the way, the pop for that. Did you hear it?
You should have had a pop in my house when that happened. I was well happy. Love Index.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, you move Indy Hartwell to main roster.
I think that's what's happening.
ASAP.
I think you do Blair versus Indy Hartwell in the build up to the show. You have Indy put her over on the way out, and then move Indy up to the main roster with Dexter. Simple. Yeah. Indy's done in NXT. I think she's never winning that championship. She's done everything there is to do. She's had every teammate, every person around us left. Yeah. All right, some of them have come back now, and it's great that Dexter's back because I think that gives her a ready-made storyline on the main roster.
Yeah. I just loved that they fought to go back to that on NXT. Like it's just really cool moment, I thought.
Yeah, and I think it's a clue that we're going to get her called up eventually.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of,
sorry, go on.
I was going to segue.
Segue on.
I was going to segue. Okay. Speaking of people potentially being called up, we had Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar.
Yeah, there's no potential
in a match where
this is happening.
The loser leaves NXT, I think, was the stipulation, or maybe it's just Santos leaves NXT.
It was just Santos.
Just Santos. And what happened? Santos.
I mean, it made it obvious he was going to lose, but
Crowbar
I've never wanted someone that I like so much to lose a match ever. I don't know why. I was like, it's time. Get him on that main roster. And like I say, the tag team division, if you bring
Legado,
if you bring Legado with him, you've got another great tag team on the main roster there.
Well, I think I said this last week. You bring up Legado, I think you keep Elektra down. But
yeah, you could do. You could bring them all up. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to.
I don't think Elektra is needed.
No, nor do I. Again, where Legado go, Raw or SmackDown, I don't really know at this point.
Escobar on his own would be fine.
He would be fine on his own.
Yeah,
but,
and I think
the thing is, I'd be worried if this was 2 months ago. He's getting called up. I'd be worried about him, to be honest with you. But with Triple H in charge, I don't think there's anything to worry about. He's going to push.
He can make a serious star there.
I think he should be. He should be the next big, like Mexican star. They had the chance of Andrade. It didn't happen for various reasons. He's a better talker than Andrade. That's the thing. Andrade was a great wrestler.
Is he better in ring? He's pretty good in ring.
He's not. I mean, he's not far off, is he?
Yeah.
I don't think he's better, but he's great.
Yeah. He's very good. So he's got everything you need to be a top star. And that demographic in particular has had a lot of big stars over the years. And I think that's one thing WWE are missing. Obviously, they've still got Rey Mysterio, but they're not going to have Rey Mysterio forever.
Rey's incredible, the fact that he is still wrestling like he does.
Exactly. But a feud between the Mysterios and the Legado del Fantasma is such an obvious thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you could do. I mean, I think they're kind of leaning more face currently. Escobar definitely feels like he is.
Yeah, they have been.
What happens? I mean, what was there? I mean, the match itself was really good, but I say for a street fight, not massive amounts of street fighting, I would say, but good match nonetheless. And I really liked
the finish, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say I really liked cool. Escobar's entrance. I thought he looked big time.
That last bit, I was like, this is. He feels like a star.
This felt like a goodbye, didn't it? Proper, give him the full on entrance.
You knew he was losing, but I wanted him to lose. I was like,
he's been on there. He's been in NXT for quite a while now. He was back when they did that Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, not the original one.
The cruiserweight, the
interim tournament. That he debuted in with as he had a different name, didn't he? He had a different name at that point.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
It was called El Hijo del Fantasma, I think. And then he unmasked and became Santos Escobar. That note to other Mexican wrestlers: once you take your mask off, leave it off. There you go. There's an idea.
You listening, Tony Khan?
Random little dig there.
He's taking his own mask off now.
There's too much of that. He took it off and he kept it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match was really good, and he's, like I say, he's a ready-made star for the main roster. I think it's not obvious.
100%.
Especially under Triple H. Under Vince, I would have been worried about him. They'd have given him a weird gimmick, probably changed his name, done some weird stuff, but I think he'll just be exactly the same as he is now on the main roster, so that's fine.
Yep. There's one other match before we go on to a few backstage stuff or promos in general, but we had the feud of Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez in this match. Wasn't a DQ match, was it? But it kind of felt like it was at certain points when we had the baseball bat introduced towards the end of the match. And the finish from Cora Jade onto the baseball bat to beat Roxanne. This doesn't feel like this is over. I feel like there's more to come here. This doesn't feel like a blow-off match to me.
No, I could see this carrying on. I could see this continuing, definitely. I think Roxanne will get a win in this feud at some point. She's got to get revenge, really.
I think we could go to 3 matches there.
I enjoyed this. It's good. I like the presentation of them both. I love Cora Jade.
Cora Jade's presentation is a lot better than it was.
Has come so far. Her wrestling as
100%, yeah. She can wrestle. We said finally, she couldn't for a while.
It is she really. She it's like she deserves the spot. They pulled the trigger too early, I think. Which is a bit of a shame because I was disappointed. But actually now, her promo work, her presentation, her in-ring ability has really elevated.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she looks
so fair.
When you look at the top of the card in the women's division, I think you may put Mandy, then maybe her or Alba Fire. She's right up there. Is essentially what I'm saying. She's right at the top
definitely
of the
a
card.
future star.
Yeah, she is, and a future NXT champion. I would predict as well.
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah, brilliant idea.
Yeah, definitely. We had I think it was at the start of the show or early on, Julius Creed said he's watched back the footage and he's going to uncover
of this promo was horribly awkward, and I think it didn't quite go to plan. It was a bit weird. It was like they didn't know what they were saying, but the actual premise of it.
Yeah, I wonder whether there was a cue missed or something about people not coming out and attacking. But we got Dynamite and in the ring. Again, it's not completely what we expected. Blaming Roderick Strong, but then
out of nowhere,
Gallus boys on top come out and attack them.
Big Wolfgang.
Which
I never thought I'd see Wolfgang get called out. What a legend!
Wolfgang, he's amazing. But like they went to like, oh, Roderick Strong's being exiled from the group, and all of a sudden they're all being beaten up because there was a point where they beat up the 3 of them, and then there's Roderick Strong.
Yeah, I thought
Roderick Strong's orchestrated this, but then they attacked Roderick Strong. And do you know what I think could be the cause of this? I think this could be Apollo Crews. I think we could see a 4-on-4. It's a weird one. Apollo Crews and Gallus.
Apollo Crews with Gallus.
Against no sense.
Against Dynamite. Because Apollo Crews has been trying to get in with Dynamite.
Why
obviously,
Gallus?
I don't know why Gallus, and that's going to be explained to us.
Apollo Crews on top.
No, I don't think Apollo's turning heel yet.
We did see Apollo Crews at a few bars. That's where Gallus go.
I've got a question. Sort of loosely connected to this. Do you think, because obviously a while back we had Roddy Strong apply for his release. Do you think he's now changed his mind? And do you think Triple H is planning to bring him up to the main roster to keep hold of him basically and bring him onto the main roster with everyone else he's brought up?
It's interesting because
that's a really good question. Yeah,
he's a big fan.
His mind could have changed, and with Triple H in charge, it's possible. I have a feeling still no, though.
He has been in NXT for ages. Like, I remember when he was having title matches with Robert Roode in NXT. He's been in NXT
The rest of Undisputed
years
Era there.
and years. So he has to be called up. If Triple H is saying to him, I don't what I mean, Russell, when you're saying NXT, then I think he would still want his release.
Yeah.
If Triple H is going to call him up, I think he could stay. Because I think, genuinely, I think he would be better off on the main roster of WWE than in AW right now. With the way AW are presenting people. I think.
I don't know, though, with the rest of the UE there. Maybe not. Although I don't think the UE needs him on there, do they?
I mean, you say that, Fisher. How often do you see Bobby Fish on your TV?
No, it's not every week.
At one point, he was like the MVP. He was on TV every week.
When's the last time we saw Kyle O'Reilly wrestle a match or do anything of significance? Like,
well, they've been injured. They've been injured.
Yeah, no, but I know what you said. But there is potential. But I don't think
if you go back to UE days,
that well.
Undisputed Era in NXT, even then it was rare you had Bobby Fish, even Kyle O'Reilly really have many matches. It wasn't till the end when they all started splitting up that you really saw them sort of individually. I think a faction of 4 is quite difficult to please everybody, and how stacked AW is very difficult to get him there.
They are not against big factions, are they, in AW? So AW would want him 100%, and I think it's actually it's a question I don't have an answer to, Krusty. Realistically, I think it could go both ways. I don't know which way it's going to go with.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But he asked for his release 3 months ago, and he's still here
wrestling.
He's still on every NXT.
Matches.
Every week he's on NXT doing fairly important stuff. So he might change his mind anyway. By the sounds, in fact, he's
it's possible. Yeah,
he's still playing ball. So who knows? What else did?
There was the arrival, the promo package for Quincy Elliott, the Super Diva, arriving next week. I know he's been on NXT Level Up. I've seen some clips. Very over the top.
Seems like a very
style,
big character.
Very different. Got a bit of Viscera vibes about him. Got a bit of Gold Dust vibes. Bit of Velveteen. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Velveteen Dream.
I did think Velveteen Dream.
But that's what I thought, actually.
Like, I've seen clips of him. He's like twerking against the ring post and stuff like that. Like, he's going to be he's a comedy wrestler. He's something different for this NXT roster. So I welcome it, and we'll see how he does.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to it. Is it next week?
Apparently he's really good. People have said he's good as well. Like, he's actually good in the ring. Yeah. So if he's good in the ring, then obviously that helps. Yeah,
very intrigued to see him, definitely. We got. There's not much else, actually. I'm trying to look around.
I think we've gone for everything.
Not a lot else.
Gallus made a challenge to Briggs and Jensen for the NXT.
Yes, I knew someone did. Yeah.
So we're getting that next week. So I don't know if they're going to get that because of Worlds Collide.
Yeah, but who have they just started a feud with, Gallus? The NXT champion.
Diamond Mine. Yeah. I think we'll get.
So Gallus could win that.
Versus...
but would it make more sense for Gallus to win the tag belts and then have Gallus be Diamond Mine for unification?
Yep, you could do that, or you could have Gallus versus Diamond Mine for that belt and Pretty Deadly versus Brooks and Jensen for the other one, because it's still they're kind of NXT UK, sort of,
Yeah,
because they've been annoyed that the belts have come over as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
obviously, so, I don't know. I could see them. I mean, they might even do like a fatal 4-way tag team match or something crazy like that with both belts on the line.
You could do that, actually.
It wouldn't surprise me if they do like a big ladder match or something with all both belts in there, or there's plenty of options there, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, it is. I have nothing else for NXT.
Was that everything, Fisher? You got any cheeky little facts?
No, I've only seen a couple more confirmed.
A couple more releases right at the end.
Ashton Smith.
No, he was getting over, yeah.
And Nina Samuels, who I personally quite liked.
The Nina Samuels show is over.
Yep. She even tweeted that. She said the show is over.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no.
Me and Nina Samuels like that.
But that's it so far, I believe. I've been trying to sort of refresh it because
maybe we'll tweet out a completed list when we know one, or a retweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll just be something happening throughout the night.
Well, I hope you all feel sufficiently plugged into the world of WWE professional wrestling. We have been Recharge Wrestling. Keep an eye out for Fisher's AW pod they'll be releasing.
I said that last week and I didn't end up doing one, but I will try and do
well, what a letdown.
Well, the thing
Fisher is not full of facts. So
the thing is, my camera. I apologise. People who are actually watching on YouTube, you can't see me. I mean, it's been okay the second half of this show, but
If you can give us, tell you what,
don't
if you
wanna
can
do a
give us like
one-man
and
show.
Subscribe, tell your friends. We might actually be able to afford to get Fisher a camera. So please give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Search Recharge Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle. Interact with us, ask us questions. We will actually answer them on the podcast if you do ask us a question.
Yeah.
No, I will do an AEW one this week because I've got a lot to say about this week's episode. There was, so I think I will try.
I can't wait to listen to Fisher's rant on
something to
AEW.
tune into.
Yeah, tune on in. So check out that. Check out all of our content, and we'll see you next week for another WWE podcast. Thanks for listening.
Cool. See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.